On this episode of The Geek State, Game of Thrones is ending, but you can sit on the Iron Throne yourself pretty soon.
We discuss how the Thanos snap might have affected Fandango servers.
And going to the movies is awesome, especially when you see movies like Shazam. But sometimes people are jerks. Find out more on this episode of The Geek State.
Golden, pure, creamery butter, rich, flavorful, satisfying. That's what it takes for the finest buttered popcorn, and that's what we use. See for yourself why there's no Showtime treat to equal the crisp, delicious flavor of hot popcorn that's bathed in real melted butter. It's at the concession stand now.
This is it.
This episode features the hilarious James you know and love. No, not Corden, not Kimmel, nor Fallon. This is The Geek State.
Using the power of Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury, I am Chris, and welcome to The Geek State, the podcast all about the stuff that's going on in the geek world, whether it's movies, comics, video games, basically anything cool that we like, stuff we read on the internet, stuff we watch and enjoy. We're going to bring it to you on this podcast. We're so glad that you are here, and I am extremely glad to have back on the show my good buddy James. James, it feels like... it feels like a month, but literally it's kind of almost been a month.
It's almost been a month. I'm done. I'm finally back from my leave of absence. The interesting part is you've done more in the time that I've been gone than I have. So I didn't go to South America. I didn't do anything fun.
I know.
So.
Well, and you know, and to everybody listening who missed James last week, well, he's back for one, so you can keep listening. But you know that James really tried to be on the last week's episode, but stuff at work just got nuts. And we were kind of pressed on a timeline with I was heading out of the country, and that's where I've been this whole time. And it's kind of hard to podcast when just having reliable Wi-Fi to text or send an email was challenging enough. I went to Chile, went to Patagonia, went on an extremely difficult hike. And James, I got another story from Chile that I want to share. But this little Star Wars moment. So I went to we're in Patagonia, and I'm not even gonna attempt to do the Spanish name for where we went. It's the towers. There's these three towers. It's pretty much if you Google Patagonia, Chile, and do an image search, you're gonna find the thing that I went to, and it's probably the hardest hike that I've ever been to. And I'm not saying that like I'm a experienced mountain climber, because I'm not. But I've done some climbing and stuff in, Colorado. Did a solo backpacking trip. I consider myself.
You're not going to free solo El Capitan? You weren't inspired by that documentary?
Going into this hike, I thought, maybe, hey, whatever. But clearly after this thing, definitely not. So the last part of this hike, and this is the little Star Wars moment, my body is done. We're about 11 miles in at this point, and the last part of the hike, it's a 450 meter incline for the very last, so elevation gain 450 meters, which doesn't sound like a lot in the metric system, but when you convert it to feet, it's like 1400 something feet straight up. Over like maybe a half a mile. I don't think maybe a half mile. My knees
That's
are done.
That's like a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, go to my Facebook and watch my video. It was really tough. It was really tough. So as I'm going, like my mental state was I was playing music in my head. I don't have headphones. I'm just playing it. But in my head, I'm playing like the Jedi steps from The Force Awakens. Like it's Rey climbing those stairs, and I'm just like trying to get to the top so that like hopefully Luke Skywalker is there to like throw my water bottle off the cliff.
Spoiler alert: he's an ass when you get there.
Yeah, he's not excited to see you. But that was really cool. But that's not my story that I want to tell, James. I texted you and kind of teased. I had a little geek moment at the airport. So we're leaving Chile. We're in the Santiago airport. We're in the customs line to get our passport stamped and all that. And I look over about a row behind us. So it's kind of, we're in the turnstile, the roped area. We're in the line. It kind of snakes back and forth. And I spot a Chewbacca suitcase and a bunch of guys wearing Star Wars shirts. And I turned to Ramon, who was traveling with me, and I go, I bet they're going to Star Wars Celebration. And they heard me, And which is funny because this whole time in Chile, I would speak English and nobody around me would even acknowledge my existence. But for the first time, someone heard like Star Wars, which doesn't need a translation, and they immediately were like, hey, we're going to, Star Wars Celebration. And I was like, that's so cool, have fun. And then I saw them again and we chatted a little bit and I was like, I wish I was going. There's, it's going to be, y'all are going to have a blast. Is this your first time going? And they were like, this is like I think this was like maybe their second. And I was like, I've got a Star Wars tattoo. I got it at Star Wars Celebration 6. And so we kind of had this little fun Star Wars moment, at the airport. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, as much as we can get upset about some, how some people would say like the state of Star Wars fandom is a certain way and divided and whatever, it still proves to me that every time I run into people who are like Star Wars fans are incredibly nice and really cool people. I know that's not 100% true, but James, it sure did feel like it, because about 10 minutes later, after we're done, we've gone through security and we're walking around the, the duty free shop, trying to look at, what kind of
buying some cigarettes,
buy cases and cases of cigarettes. No, picking up some Cohibas,
the tax-free cigarettes.
Well, we're in Chile, so we could have, I could have bought like a whole crate of Cuban cigars and brought those back.
There you go.
I didn't actually buy anything, but I was came from around the corner, and this guy who was in that line came up to me and he asked me if I was a major Star Wars fan, and I was like, are you kidding me? And of course,
my name is Major Star Wars fan.
I got my other arm is tatted with Major.
My father was Star Wars fan.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like, oh, so he was asking me this question because he was trying to gauge whether or not he should do the thing that he was about to do, because he reached into his bag after I said, yes, of course I'm a major Star Wars fan. And he pulled out this bag that he had put together, and it says, and apparently swag is now a thing at like at least Star Wars Celebration. Like, I've been seeing all these posts of like, people who are going and they're bringing like their own button, or they got a patch made. Yeah. All this cool stuff. And so, big shout out to Christian and the rest of the group, that he was with. But he gave me, 2 patches, a button, a pin, a poker chip, and, a cool, Chile, lapel pin, an enamel pin. And yeah, it was, I was floored. And he kind of motioned to his friend, and his friend was standing by with a camera. So he posed for a picture in the duty free shop. And, I was just like, this is incredibly cool. And I'm sad that I don't get to go to Celebration. I decided to obviously go to Patagonia and go on this incredible adventure once in a lifetime, probably. But this made me feel like, hey, I got a little bit of Star Wars Celebration. And there's a lot of really cool stuff coming up in Star Wars Celebration. There's going to be all the reveals. We're going to do a podcast about it as soon as we're able to. Most likely we'll record on Sunday. It'll drop on Monday. All of our reactions to the stuff. James, is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to most coming out of Celebration?
I mean, mine would definitely be because the movie is, well, that's not really a fair statement, because this is probably further away than the movie is. But my biggest would just be Jedi Fallen Order, the new game coming out of Respawn. I think it's going to be awesome. They made Titanfall 2, and they've made Apex Legends. Titanfall 2 has the best story single player campaign of any first person shooter I've ever played. I think they'll be able to transition well into a third-person action game, which is what all indications say that this is going to be. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it.
I like the teaser image they put up yesterday.
Yeah, the like kind of tattered lightsaber looking
something
thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
So cool.
I don't know what it is. I'm stoked. I'm thinking, James, that's actually that might actually hit before the movie.
I don't know. I think we know so little about it. Usually, I mean, if it's
you know better than me, you know better than me. Yeah.
Of video games, Fallout 4 is the one video game that was announced and then came out 4 months later. You know, and then you do have things like Apex Legends, which literally was announced and dropped in the same day. So from this same team, so there's a good chance there's a chance that could happen. But I just feel like it might be a spring 2019 game or 2020 game. I'm sorry. But we'll see. We'll see.
We definitely will. And
I would really like it if it comes this year.
There's the reason why I'm saying I think it's coming out in the fall is in October. Hasbro is I don't think it was Hasbro, but they made an announcement about the Force Friday when all the merch comes out, and I'm pretty sure they mentioned that there was going to be Fallen Order merch. Now, not the game, but if it looks like when Battlefront and Battlefront 2 came out, those came out the November prior to an episodic Star Wars film.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that is true.
Again, we'll see. A couple of days, which is cool.
I would be very happy if that was the case.
Absolutely, and of course we're gonna, the potential of a trailer, and there was a leaked poster that I don't know if that's a theatrical poster or one of those posters you buy at Walmart, like the retail posters. There was some kooky stuff with C-3PO with a bandolier and a bowcaster, and so I don't know. We'll have all the real stuff, no speculation, pretty soon when Star Wars Celebration takes off on Thursday at the McCormick Center in Chicago. We will not be there, but I will be having very, very low productivity levels as I stream it live from my desk.
Absolutely. I did want to mention one other thing, Chris. Yeah. While you were in Patagonia and Chile and all that, I did go see the movie Pet Sematary, and it was okay.
Oh, okay.
So we can move on to the next segment now.
It's just okay. You know that
it was okay.
That
it's a movie that exists.
It's just okay when James mentions this movie at the top of the show and not at the end when we do our picks of the week. But that is good because I've heard some mixed reviews of it. But
it's a good remake, but it is a almost beat for beat remake.
Okay. Well, they didn't totally mess it up. Well, let's get to the headlines. Well, this weekend, so while Star Wars Celebration is taking over the internet for at least the weekend, HBO has Game of Thrones making its premiere this Sunday. I'm hoping that the app holds up because recently there's a lot of crashes and stuff, but they've done pretty good with things like that. But so Game of Thrones enters its final season. This I'll definitely be watching, and there's only 6 episodes, but some of the episodes are a little bit longer. But
one of them is movie length. It's like an hour and 38 minutes or something crazy like that, isn't it?
I think so. I think
there's one. I think it's the one before the final one. I don't know. But they listed all the runtimes. But
I saw that. Yeah, no, absolutely. And with Game of Thrones ending, it makes people kind of want a little bit more, Game of Thrones. They want to be, they want to see more Winterfell. They want to see the wall. They want to see all the stuff. Well, good news, everyone. So HBO is currently working on turning one of its studios into a Game of Thrones studio tour. It's inside the 110,000 square foot Linen Mill Studios, which is outside of Belfast. This museum is going to be an immersive experience. So you're going to get to walk around, look at the props. I'm sure sit on the Iron Throne. There's not a lot of confirmed details. This does sound a lot like what you can do at the Warner Brothers Studios in London, I believe, where you can go see the Harry Potter stuff. And HBO is set to open it sometime, probably spring 2020. The stuff that I've been reading and what we know from it so far is very limited, but it's probably going to have a lot of the studio stuff that was shot inside a soundstage. So Winterfell, King's Landing, Dragonstone, probably a recreation of pieces of the wall, and of course you'd have the Iron Throne to sit upon and take photos with. So that sounds pretty cool. I don't think I will be headed to Belfast any soon, but Ireland is on my list. After, of course, Patagonia, the question always is, so where are we going next? And I'm thinking when I turn the big 4-0, I think London, Ireland, and all of that, which that just made me sound really old.
Almost 40, actually.
Yeah, well,
yeah. I mean,
it's a few years away.
I'd probably look to go somewhere with less hills first, but be you, do your thing.
Exactly. Well, I can take a taxi or something.
That's true.
They have streets there, and probably less street animals that are just free roaming. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, also while we were, since our last recording, Avengers Endgame tickets went on sale. Obviously, it comes out in, 2 weeks now, so they need to get out in front of this. And Thanos snapped all the servers for Fandango because it did not go smoothly.
It really didn't. Regal and Adam and everybody. What's funny is I was up early. Because we were on this happened on the flight back. And so, of course I'm trying, I didn't sleep well on the airplane. So I'm at the, DFW airport and waiting for my next flight. And I saw on Twitter somebody post that the Avengers tickets, cause they didn't announce it. They just did it.
Right.
So I was like, oh, let me get tickets. And I went in and I was the first person to buy tickets for the theater that I typically go to. So I got to pick my middle seats like I normally do, and everything was totally fine for the next, I guess, 10 minutes when the word spread that the tickets had gone on sale. And AMC's website continued to crash. I think something like Fandango, like they wait, like they had that.
They queued people.
Yes.
Yeah, so everyone got into a queue and waited an hour.
And then they were just like, nope, sorry, tickets are all gone. It's crazy. And this movie's like 3 hours long. And there was rumors and talk about a intermission, during this movie. It
almost needs one. 3 hours long. Gods and Generals had one and it's the same length.
Right. I really honestly,
that movie's boring. So
it got me thinking, what would an intermission be like? I think it actually they could do something really cool with it where it's like you're about to enter this, where it's like a climax, or it's like a little bit of a find a way to set that intermission at some sort of slight cliffhanger, and then, let the screen have a countdown of how much time you have.
So I assume that they go to space, and there's that scene in the trailer where they're all wearing the red and white suits or whatever, and they're walking down the aisle. What they need to do is that, but have them walking for 5 minutes with a little countdown timer, and they progressively start looking at each other more awkwardly. So
why don't you work for Marvel?
And you want to wait it out, it's fine. But if you want to go, you can leave and come back.
Yeah,
I think that would be awesome.
They're pulling up some sort of data, and it's like loading. It's like a loading screen.
Just a loading bar. Yes. That would be so great. And it's just David Banner or Bruce Banner and Tony Stark, and they're just sitting there waiting for it to load with their arms crossed. One of them pulls out their phone.
It moves really quick for just a second, and they get excited, but then it starts going slow again. This is brilliant. I don't know why.
I don't know what they were thinking.
They get bored. They get bored and they pull up YouTube and they start watching like a Cardi B video. It's just sort of like to get you just to wait. Just like some entertainment stuff goes on.
Exactly.
God damn. Why don't we work for Marvel? Did you get your tickets?
Go ahead.
Did you get your tickets?
I did not. I will not be going to see it until Monday after, because I like to avoid, we'll talk about it in the next segment, but I like to avoid the crazy crowd movie. It's just not my thing. But the Monday after, I haven't even purchased tickets. I'm looking at the large format screen showing at my movie theater, and there are 3 seats taken for the 11 o'clock show. So
You're
I
golden.
think that might be the one that I try and sneak into.
Yes. So as soon as we're done with this episode, you need to snatch those tickets up before they're gone and Thanos' snap.
We got the officials counting.
This is a feature presentation.
And now, on with the show.
Oh, James, movie theaters are such an awesome community experience. There's still something about going to a movie and sitting and being a part of an experience. Like, I have such good memories of waiting outside of the AMC Studio Grand or something. It was up in the Dallas area. My dad and I waited, in line before, reserved seating. You got there hours in advance. You got to see Phantom Menace, going to see Stargate for the first time, going to see, going into the first Star Trek movie I ever saw, which was Generations, but then walking out 5 minutes into it, and then walking to go see another movie. I think going to the movie is such a cool experience, and there are so many, advances, that have made the experience even better, whether it's, the bigger screens, the better sound, like the Alamo Draft House, you can go and you can get your food, you got your beer, you got those leather reclining seats. But the one thing that has gotten worse about going to the movie are other people.
You are preaching right now. Love
this
it.
This is my soapbox segment of the show. But no, honestly, I know everybody listening, everybody in the geek state are good, mannered, movie-going people who know how to behave in a movie theater, who know the rules. But I felt like, you know what? We need to have a little bit of a discussion on what it's like to go to a movie theater in the year 2019, of what's acceptable behavior. What should you do? How should you go into a movie? And if you don't want to go to a movie theater, I've got a way that if you don't want to go to a movie theater and see the latest movie, a movie that comes out, say a movie that comes out this weekend, how you can, at your own home, legally, not a bootleg, not pirate, how you can legally watch that movie in your home. We'll tell you about that here in a little bit. How's that for a tease? But I want to start, James, with a story. I went and saw Shazam this weekend, which is interesting because it had, I cannot pronounce his name, but his name is like Jaimin Hansu. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So Jaimin,
I don't know if that's right, but sure.
But do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
So he's in Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's in the recent Captain Marvel. And he's also in Shazam, which I thought was interesting because he is, Shazam and Captain Marvel, and their kind of weird history with the name and all that stuff. He's in both of those movies. So when saw Shazam, which, not to get into it, I thought was way better. It was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Yes, that's what I've heard.
It's funny. It has, sometimes like, especially DC falls into this, but Marvel does too, where the ending is sort of just this inevitable, I have the confidence and courage and whatever, and I beat the bad guy. The third act is really good, and it brings in stuff that was sort of laid, the foundations was laid in earlier, and I really enjoyed it. It was a really good movie going experience. They missed a joke. I don't feel like it's podcast friendly, so I'll tell you, James, off air, that they did not make this joke in the movie, but I gotta think that at some point it was in the script, but they left it off, and
it's on the cutting floor.
It's got to. And if you, I just don't feel comfortable doing it on the podcast, but if you want to hear it, just send me a DM on Twitter or something, and I'll tell you the joke. It's not even that great. So we're in the movie theater. The movie starts. I've got Ramon sitting to my left, and to my right are a couple. I'm sitting next to, I guess, the girlfriend, and then there's the boyfriend is sitting next to her, and they're a little chatty during the previews, which used to bother me a lot more back before you could see trailers whenever you wanted to, on the computer.
Right.
So kind of now I'm kind of like, it's okay. Like I've seen this. I've already seen all these trailers. I'm not seeing any of these things for the first time.
Yeah.
So that's
very rarely do I see something for the first time. Sometimes in horror movies, because there's some horror movie that I didn't know was coming out or something like that. But for the most part, yeah, I agree with you. It's like you see them all.
Here's the Avengers trailer. I've already seen this, but this is cool to watch it again on a big screen. But it's okay that you're talking about like, isn't he? I thought he was dead. Who's that? That kind of thing.
Right.
I kind of was like, whatever, it's fine.
So I look at it as get it out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. Get this out of your system. If you want to look at your phone, if you want to, check into the movie theater, say you're here, whatever, that's fine. But get it out of your system during the previews, and then let's watch the movie. Right. We're all in this experience together. We've all paid the same amount of money, and we don't want to be. So the movie starts, and they're still talking, like not in whisper voices. like an actual regular human conversational talk, you know, saying like, oh, I like him. Oh, he's funny. Or, oh, that stinks. You know, like talk, you know, the beginning of the movie has a lot of like really dark, like this guy was this one kid, it shows a flashback and how badly he was treated by his father and all this stuff. And, you know, so we're getting all this talk. And so I just did a quick little, like kind of, I didn't look at them, but I gave him a little shh. Now, I know that could be taken as maybe a little rude, but I feel like it was pretty tasteful. It was a pretty tasteful shush. Okay.
If I have to say so myself.
I'm just going to say it wasn't loud. It was loud enough for them to hear it. And that's it. Well, out of the corner of my eye, I see the boyfriend get up out of his seat, turn to face me. But then the girlfriend kind of put a hand out, like, calm down, sit back down.
Oh my gosh.
So my heart's like, oh my goodness, because now I'm kind of like, crap, like I don't know these people.
Right.
So movie's still going and they still are talking. And the people who are on the other side of us are also kind of looking over and are a little upset. And so Ramon gives a shush, but it was a much louder shush. It was a directed.
It was a saucy shush.
It was a directed. There's no worry about who this is. Well, so this boyfriend sits up again in his seat, turns at us and says, listen, F word.
Oh my gosh.
Don't you tell me to effing shut up at the movies, and then grabbed a fistful of popcorn and threw it at us.
What the hell?
So I just sat there and I passed the popcorn over to Ramon and I pressed the little button that makes the reclining seat go, you know, sits back down.
Get out of his way.
And I stood up and I walked out of the movie theater because my intent was I was going to go and tell management about what just happened. But then, okay, so James, you're in the situation. Yeah. This is a choose your own adventure. You're out. You're not out of the theater yet. You're in that little back section where the trash cans and stuff are.
Okay.
Do you A, cool down and go back to your seat, or B, go to the manager and tell them that there's this person that just threw popcorn at you and was being loud and all that?
Well, Chris, something that you don't know about me is I'm a giant baby. So about 3 pages back, I would have chosen the option of sit there and do nothing. So take the talking like a human, like a champ, I guess. Okay. I don't know. But if I got to that situation, if I had already gotten up, I would probably just go back to my seat. I'd probably calm down, go back to my seat. Because at that point, they know that they need to be quiet, right? Without a doubt. I would go back to my seat and then, like, hopefully they figured out how ridiculous they were being, is what I would hope for.
That makes my heart...
Or I would just leave, like, altogether. Be like, I can't even deal with this. Because, like, I mean...
The movie was only 5 minutes in. I mean, it just got started.
My father told me a long time ago that essentially the world kind of sucks sometimes, and you don't have to practice being miserable. Going back into that movie theater to me would be practicing being miserable.
That's great.
I would not enjoy it, so why go back? Is probably the way that I would have probably just left. I would have been like, I'm lucky enough to be able to, if I spent $15 on a ticket, just pass it away, go grab some ice cream and get out of there.
That's some of the best, like, fatherly advice that I've ever heard. Like, that's an awesome little nugget. That's an Instagram, like, picture on top of mountains, you know? It's like, here's some text.
Sometimes the world sucks. Don't practice being miserable.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that gives me an idea for our Instagram channel account. So, James, it actually makes me happy that you said that, because that's what I did. I left, and then I was like, you know what? I run the risk of A, them not doing anything, or B, the management comes in, looks for them, he makes a huge stink, and then, like, waits for us outside.
Yes. That's the big thing, especially in Texas, because you don't know if that guy has a gun. Like, it's just, there's just all sorts of stuff that, like, could go wrong. And there's just no reason to add to that, you know?
Exactly. I do think, so when I got up and left, I found out that the people who were sitting next to us on the other side were talking about, like, oh my God, what a jackass. Like, I hope that, and so they were all thinking I went to go report. And so I sat back, I waited enough time. I was still listening to the movie, and I went back and I sat back down. My heart was just racing though, the whole time. I was just like, oh my God, like, and I think the message was received. Either the message was received or they got into the movie enough that they stopped talking. But man, I was like, we need to talk about movie etiquette, and some rules. So, you know, obviously the first one, on the list for me, James, is you got to turn your phone off. Silence, fine. Put it in your pocket. You know, some people would argue that you need to turn it off all the way. I don't think you need to totally do that. But if you can't resist checking your phone when vibrate goes on, then first of all, you need to get some help. But you know, just
the endorphins in my brain.
It's science, James. I need to see what Twitter was saying,
right?
Or what the HQ trivia clue is going to be. Turn off. You got either turn off your phone or put it on silent and put it in your pocket, put it in your purse, do something with it. That bugs me the most is if I see someone messing with it. And it's not that it bothers me that you're texting. The act of texting, I don't care that, you're missing the movie. It's just my eye gets drawn away from the theater, you know, and I'm paying for this experience. I'm not paying for you to pretend like you're in your living room. So that's my number one rule besides talking. James, you got etiquette to throw in here?
I think obviously your two are the two, 1 and 2 for me. My other one though is not every joke in a comedy is funny. Not every scare in a scary movie is scary. Overreacting.
Yes.
Like, you don't have to laugh after everything that's said. You don't have to jump at every scare. You don't have to throw your popcorn in the air. I experienced this recently when I saw Captain Marvel, which it does have some good jokes in it, some jokes that hit. It also has a lot of jokes that miss. However, the person who is 2 seats away from me was obnoxiously laughing at everything. It could be not even a joke. Like, it was just ridiculous. I was so annoyed by the end of it, of just like the constant laughing.
This is I have encountered that many times because I've gone to see some really bad movies before. You know, when it's not your choice and it's just like, hey, we're all going to see this, and I'm like, all right, I'll go see Boo, a Medea Halloween or whatever. And I find, and it's just me, and I'm sorry, but I found very little of it at all funny, especially not funny enough to like actually laugh out loud. But yet I'm an outlier in this group that I was seeing this movie with, and other people thought it was hilarious, and that's fine with them. But it's just some people, whatever. This kind of goes along with it, James. Here's another reason why I love and almost need to see a movie on opening weekend, because I cannot deal with going into a movie that I'm seeing for the first time, and I could be potentially in a theater that has people who have maybe already have seen this movie and they're coming back again for the second time, but this time they brought their friends with them because now they're telling them that something fun is coming up, or here's something that's really cool, or wait for this. Like, I cannot do that. I cannot deal with that. And I think, again, this is sort of a talking thing. It kind of goes back to,
Yeah. My biggest thing with that is, like, if you've seen a movie that has a twist in it, don't say, hey, the twist is awesome, right? Because then I'm just going to overanalyze everything, and I'm going to figure, like, if I'm expecting a twist, there's about a 50% chance I'm going to figure it out before it happens.
Bingo.
I went and saw Us. That's another movie that I saw. Better than okay. But I figured out what was going to, because
I haven't seen it yet.
Obviously, I knew that there was something was going to happen just because it's a Jordan or a Peele movie,
right?
Or whatever.
Yeah, Jordan Peele.
And it's like, I knew something was going to happen, so I was paying attention to every little detail, everything that was going on. I knew that everything meant something, and I figured out what the twist was, like halfway through. And it's just kind of, and then when it happens, I'm just like, nah,
Well, that's the Shyamalan thing. Like before, before what's it called? The Sixth Sense, nobody knew to be looking for anything because he hadn't really made anything before that. But as soon as Sixth Sense happened, everybody's like, well, that wasn't good. I figured out the twist. Yeah, because when you saw The Sixth Sense, you didn't know there was a twist coming.
Right, exactly. And that's what I'm saying is like if there's a movie that maybe you don't expect a twist and it happens, don't tell people that there's a twist. Absolutely not.
Oh, and this list. So we're looking at this one list, and I break one of their rules. They say never shush, because it says calmly ask loud talkers to quit it. If they don't, move seats or ask a manager. Well, you can't actually do that because you can't move seats anymore.
Yeah, this. I mean, I don't know that there's a good way, because if somebody's talking and you lean over and you go, "Hey, can you please be quiet?" You're doing the same thing.
That's my thought. That's my thought.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Thankfully, I haven't run into this very much. There was a little bit of it when I went and saw Pet Sematary, but that movie kind of sucked. So it was like,
it was
whatever.
just okay. It was a beat for beat remake.
But yeah, I mean,
what other pet peeves do you have? Like,
I don't. Well, so
because you don't want to be miserable, James.
I preemptively strike this pet peeve because a lot of times I go see movies alone. Whether it's just because my girlfriend, she pet sits a lot, so she's not at the house. Mm-hmm. She also is not a huge movie person. She likes to watch them at the house, and she likes going to see like the big movies, but she's never going to go see Pet Sematary.
Okay.
Or she's not going to go see like some comedy in the theaters, really. So I usually go alone, but what I usually will do is I will buy the very end seat, just because unless the movie's absolutely packed, nobody's going to pick the seat next to me. But it's armrest space. There are some armrest space hoggers out there that will just bow up both sides, and just it's bad. They got a Pepsi on this side, and they took the box of Skittles on the other side, and they put that in the cup holder.
Oh, they got their phone in there.
Yeah, or their phone. It's just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. A little bit of decency.
I don't run into this all that often, but when there's just a large, like when you're sitting in your seat and you're like waiting for the previews to start, and then like this large group of like preteens like just walk through and there's no parent with them, where you clearly know like parents just drop their kids off at the theater like it's daycare.
Yeah. I see that less and less. Like preteen, I guess my parents did that too, but that was more because I wanted them to. It wasn't like a getaway for them. Sure. It was kind of like drop me off. But with little kids, it would be a problem. But that's like one of the good things about there being a lot of news out there about kids getting kidnapped and stuff, is parents don't do that as often.
If there is a silver lining,
if there's a silver lining to kids getting kidnapped,
it is awful.
Parents aren't dropping their kids off at theaters anymore.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. What's your thought? Okay, so those are some pretty good etiquette rules. But James, what are your thoughts on bringing in, sneaking in food? Are you a go ahead and just suck it up and get the $20 popcorn and $10 soda?
I always buy popcorn and soda at the theater every time. This most recent time, however, Chris, in a moment of weakness at the house, I ordered a 48 count of sour Skittles. I don't need 48 packs of sour Skittles, but at the time it seemed like a good idea.
I thought you meant like it was a pack of 40. It had 46 individual Skittles.
No. This would be a box, a giant box that would be on a display shelf of 48 packs of candy.
My mouth's already like puckering. Like
exactly. I actually saw a good meme the other day it was a picture of Rocky Balboa from Rocky IV after the fight, and it says, "My tongue when I open another pack of sour Skittles." But anyways, yeah. So I snuck for the first time. I snuck food.
Oh, for the first time?
Into Pet Sematary, I snuck food into a movie theater.
Oh, James,
and it was a pack of sour Skittles. But I also bought a Coke and popcorn, so I don't feel as bad about it.
You're so lawful good. Like,
I know. I really am. It's kind of ridiculous.
Because I'm like the complete opposite. I'm like, how can we do always buy, we do buy soda, we buy popcorn. Oftentimes we buy nachos, but candy is usually, and now because
their candy prices are just outrageous.
It's just insane. And so nowadays it's not weird because the theaters have like the reclining seats. People bring like blankets and stuff. So we bring a bag that we put a blanket in, but of course underneath the blanket, because we're dudes and we're not bringing in purses, right?
Right.
So this is like our way to bring in stuff. So we brought in candy, but our newest scam. Yeah. So
calling cards.
Our newest scam, like, you're under arrest for breaking the rules in this theater. No, it's bags. It's we bring our own Tostitos nacho chips, because instead of spending $7 on a thing of nachos, when you order your food, just ask for a cup of cheese. That just comes separate. Like, oh, can I get a thing of cheese? And they're like, yeah. And they find it on the thing, and it's like $1.47.
Oh my gosh.
Cheap nachos. But it's just so expensive. And sometimes, you want to bring a flask.
One way I do cushion it is I do always go to the matinee. You will never see me at a Friday night, Saturday night movie.
See, that's the problem.
I am a Sunday at 11 a.m. kind of guy.
I would feel definitely better. I would feel less strain on my pocketbook, which I don't have a pocketbook. I have a wallet. If we're talking matinees, because typically we're seeing that at regular full price, and of course then you buy the upcharged larger screen experience. Yeah. So all that. So hopefully those are all good rules and you follow them too. But if we missed it, I want to know. So send us a tweet or a message on Facebook, because I want to know what your pet peeve is. If you ever had an experience like me recently, I want to know what you would have done. But if all of this stuff is like, man, this is too much, I just want to watch a movie at home. Well, one of your options, you could always go to the Alamo Drafthouse if you've got one, because they have a if you talk or text, they will kick you out of the theater. Like,
yeah, they don't hesitate.
No, it's great.
And the good thing is they have people who are constantly monitoring as well, because you're ordering and things like that.
Right. They take away the question. They get to be the bad guy.
They're the watchmen.
Absolutely. There's a great on YouTube, on the Alamo Drafthouse. They have some voicemails from upset people who were kicked out. And it's and they show them in the theater.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know they used to do it like pre-roll before the trailers. They would always do it.
Yeah, and it's like, thank you for not coming back to the Draft House, because it always ends with like, I will never come back to your
and they're
theater.
Like, oh no,
exactly.
We're the biggest rising theater in the nation. Oh no, you're never coming back.
Yeah, thank you for not being a horrible person at our theater. But you know what? If you want to watch. Say you want to watch Avengers on the day it comes out in the comfort of your own home. The founders of Ticketmaster have a brand new way that you can do this, James. Are you ready?
I'm super excited. Man, I think this might be an option for me.
This is the cutting edge of home theater experience. If you want to skip the line, skip the crowds, we've got these big TVs. I've got a 4K TV in my living room. I could watch Avengers Endgame. Oh, but I don't have the following things. I don't have a credit card with a limit of at least $50,000. So if you've got that, keep listening. Then you have to fork over $15,000 for basically a fancy Roku. Just a streaming box. It's connected to your TV and home theater. Next, at this point, you have no movies. You just have the equipment. Next, it's going to be between $1,500 to $3,000 per rental, depending on the movie. Of course, this fee allows you to watch the movie twice within a random 36-hour period, before the digital file is wiped from the device, never to be seen again. Don't pause the podcast now and order it now. But if you would like to read more, it's called Red Carpet Cinema. And if you're ultra rich, let's be friends. Send me a tweet on Twitter.
I just hope I don't get drunk and look at these show notes.
Yeah, I was wondering if you guys actually enjoy treating your customers like rebel scum, because that's how I felt when I went to the Alamo Drafthouse. Okay? You know what? I didn't know I wasn't supposed to use the Force in your little theater. It was too dark in that place for me to find my seat. All right?
When it comes to comic books, superhero movies, sci-fi, fantasy. But I'm going to say there's literally no bigger expert than this guy right here.
James, we are the Geek Experts. We know everything there is to know about geek stuff, and if we don't, we'll make it up. We've opened it up on Twitter to people to ask us questions, and it doesn't fail if we ask people to ask us questions. The first person that's going to ask us is our longtime friend Armando, who asked, Geek Experts, will a new video game system arrive, like a PlayStation, or something entirely else? James, you are the video game expert on this show, and I want to know, are we in for another round of consoles or something completely different?
I think we are definitely in for another round of consoles. We already have there are some developers out there who have been rumored. Nobody's outright said it, but they've been rumored to be working on PlayStation 5 games. I don't know the name of the I don't remember what game got announced, but in the trailer it said it didn't say PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on it. It said essentially said all consoles at that time. Like, it's coming out in like 2 years, and they were like, well, we don't know what's going to be out, but it'll be on that, kind of thing. So there's definitely inklings that it's going to happen. A lot of the rumors have them as being, I think the key for the next generation is going to be backwards compatibility. Yeah. I think Xbox kind of set the standard with that, the way that they're now allowing not only Xbox 360 games, but some original Xbox games to be played on their system, which is awesome. I think it's a great idea. So a lot of people are saying on the internet that the PlayStation 5 will play any PlayStation game. I think that's absolutely insane. I think it might at best go back to PlayStation 3, but I think you'll definitely see
awesome,
PlayStation 4.
There's a lot of PS3 games that I haven't played recently because it's in a box.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think there's a 0% chance that it will be not backwards compatible with at least PlayStation 4. Yeah. I think that I wasn't here when you guys talked about Stadia, but I think that could be an option. But I don't think I still think that's a ways away. That doesn't cater to the middle of the country. A lot of people don't have fiber internet that can be streaming this type of thing. So though that'll be an option for people, I don't think that it's going to happen. Xbox, I think, already announced that they're doing an all digital console or an all digital Xbox.
No disc drive,
coming out, which they call it the all digital edition, but technically discs are digital. But whatever. Anyways, so I definitely think we will see another round of consoles. I think that you will see so many different types of the next round of consoles, though, whether they're just thin clients that connect you to a server or something you actually put a disc in. I think this round we will get both. I also think that there's a good chance that they will be more modular, so you can upgrade parts on the console. Rather than just being this, you can potentially dedicate more RAM and things like that could potentially happen. And we'll just have to see. I think that PlayStation will probably announce the PS5 either late this year or early next year, and then I think it will definitely release in 2020. I
agree. That's kind of where I was thinking. I think the big thing that's holding back that streaming stuff is the infrastructure. We're not there yet. So
yeah.
So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, the last console cycle was 7 years. From PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4. Actually, under 7 years. And we're right at that point now. PlayStation 4 came out in 2013, so we're butting right up against that. So this has actually been a pretty decent length of a console life cycle already.
Right.
So
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. So Armando, hope that answers your question. Here's our next question. Who would be on the Mount Rushmore of comics? So we've got a mountain, and we're going to carve some heads into this Mount Rushmore. James, I'm going to throw out the obvious first person because it just seems it's low-hanging fruit. I'm putting up Stan Lee.
Okay, I guess. I mean, if you have to put him up, I think you need to do like a 50-50, a two-face of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, though.
Okay, I can get
really
behind
have
that.
One without the other, but I don't know that they deserve two spots.
True.
I just don't know.
Okay, no, I can get behind that one. Who else do you put up there? It doesn't have to be real people though. This can, I'm opening this up. It can be fictional. Real people.
I was going real people.
Okay.
And one of the big ones that I was thinking is Jim Lee. He did a ton for DC Comics. He's almost like the modern Stan Lee for DC Comics. He took existing characters and just blew them out of the water with great stories and illustrations. It's pretty incredible what he's done.
So do you put
now he's the chief creative officer at DC Comics. So he definitely knows. He definitely deserves a spot up there.
I was thinking, I feel like Bob Kane needs to go up there for Batman. But he's kind of in a two-phase situation with Mr. Bill Finger as well.
That's very true.
I mean, the only person that goes up on this mountain that anybody would even recognize is Stan Lee.
Yeah, everyone would be like, "Who are these other people?" I think depending on how wide the mountain is, I would say you might need to carve out some space for Todd McFarlane. As being, he pretty much changed the way comics were drawn, his style, and really the way that he illustrated with Spawn is just kind of it really changed the tone of comic books, the way that they're drawn. He took away colors and made it red, black, and white, essentially with green eyes. That's pretty much the whole color scheme of Spawn. So I think you'd have to find room for him. And then my very last one, if you want to put somebody more modern on there, I think Scott Snyder would need to go on there. His run with the New 52 Batman was awesome. Yeah. Everything he's doing within the last, 7 years or so has just been so good.
Yeah, I think that's
very few misses.
It's a pretty solid Mount Rushmore. If you're going to put characters, got four. Let's say Mount Rushmore's got what, four? Four people. We got four people. Who's your first obvious pick?
I mean, obviously Superman. It's got to be number one. Probably the most iconic number one issue cover of all time. It's. I feel like it's got to be Superman is number one.
And see, then I think the number two is Batman. So we're now in a situation where we've got half this mountain that's DC. Who rounds out those last two?
I would do probably Spider-Man. I think he has the longest consecutive run of a comic book for Marvel. I might be wrong on that, so don't. I can hear your mechanical keyboards just going off. Actually, you nut jobs probably have a typewriter, and you're going to mail it.
You are classy and old-fashioned, and thank you for listening.
That's right, with your mustache wax.
So we got Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman.
I mean, Yeah, I feel like maybe you need to get we gotta get a woman up there. You probably hide a Deadpool.
Oh
somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
There would have to be like a Easter egg of a Deadpool stuck in there,
like carved into the pupil of Superman. Yeah. There's a Deadpool that's hanging, or it's up there on Diana Prince's crown or tiara thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of somebody who could be a good unifying force, like a Xavier or something. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of somebody.
But it's got to be Patrick Stewart's head.
Yes. Yeah. But it's got the fake Patrick Stewart, James McAvoy voice.
I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do.
If you've got a Geek Expert question, send it to us using the hashtag Geek Experts.
Let's look around the region and take our pick of the week.
Shut up and take my money.
All right, James, it's time for our pick of the week, and I don't know, why don't you go first?
Oh, it feels like home. My pick of the week, it's still access, so you have to log in and they'll send you when they're ready for you. Actually, it might be out of that by now, but it is Elder Scrolls Blades on mobile devices. It is a very good kind of little tap at things and hit them and explore little dungeons and do little quests, and it's kind of fun. You pick up chests. The way that they do their their monetary is through chests that you find while you're out, take time to open. But I never am the guy who sits there and plays the game constantly. So I'm fine pushing a button and then waiting 3 hours and then coming back, type thing. So, but or you can spend money and get little crystals. But I don't feel like the microtransactions are inhibiting me from playing the game. Yes, they are slowing me down from getting better faster, but that's not a concern because I'm never going to be the best at Elder Scrolls Blades.
Well, just as a heads up, the Elder Scrolls Blades is available at least on iOS. And
So I know when I could download it, but then I logged in and then it said that it was in early access. But I think they've opened it up to everybody now.
This looks awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I am downloading it now. That's fantastic. Well, mine, I mentioned on an earlier episode of the podcast, the trailer for What We Do in the Shadows, which is a show on FX. It's based off the movie, which it was made in New Zealand, which is also really funny. That's available on Amazon Prime. But What We Do in the Shadows TV show, I watched the first couple episodes, and it is really, really good. It's fantastic. It has the spirit of the TV show, but there's enough stuff that's the spirit of the movie, but it has enough stuff that's different. The people the vampires that live in the house, there's some difference in character. Guillermo, who is the main vampire's familiar, so kind of like his servant, is hilarious. Definitely a star on that show. And so I encourage you, check it out if you like that vampire stuff, but if you also like The Office, and you like that kind of documentary style stuff, it's really good. There's a whole scene where they're at it's vampires who are taking, they're real, they kill people and drink their blood and, all that stuff. And they're at a CVS and they're waiting for a 3,000-year-old vampire who's coming over from the old country. And they're looking at party supplies and he's like, "Oh yes, I'll get this creepy paper." And Guillermo's like, "That's crepe paper, master."
Lovely.
The black creepy paper. And then he's like, "I want the sparkly dust." Glitter? Yes, I want to be like Twilight. It's really funny, and I'm not doing it justice, but check it out. It's on FX on Wednesday nights. And so, yeah, that's our pick of the week. If you've got something cool that you think we should check out, we'd love for you to tell us. Find us over on Facebook or Twitter. We're at facebook.com/thegeekstate. On Twitter, we're at the Geek State Pod. You can also find us on Instagram at the Geek State Podcast. And yeah. Tell us what's going on, what you're interested in, what you don't like, what you do like, and help us out. Retweet us, hit us some shares on Facebook, spread the word, get more people over here into the Geek State. We'd love to hear from you. And that about does it for this episode of the show. So from everybody here at the Geek State, myself and James, stay excellent to each other, and we'll see you next time.
I am Shazam.
My name is...
All is known to me. Your name is Billy Batson.
Burp.
God, that was awful.
It sounded like
Barney?
It sounded like you were whatchamacallit? Rick and Morty. I gotta tell you, Morty.
No one's going to know what they're talking about because I cut it out of the show. So, this is...
Oh, well.
It's the magic of editing, James.
Well, you can't hide the truth from the people.
That's true.
Eventually it will come out. Crushed it. I
was worried we were going to go under, but that was good.
No, we certainly stretched out.
Sure did. 57 minutes. And then when I add all the stuff,
That's right. All the bumpers. That's what they call it in the biz.
Mm-hmm. We are professional podcasters. Spotify, why don't you buy us up?
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great if we could be a Spotify podcast. Or what's the one?
Gimlet?
There's one that starts with a C.
Oh, jeez.
Castbox. Castbox is buying up podcasts too. But they throw in ads right in the middle of your podcast.
No, thank you.
It's very strange. But I mean, come on, we'd take the money.
Who are we kidding? We're corporate shills. Want me to talk about Casper mattresses? We'll do it.
That's right.